Record. All right. Well, welcome to Sinister Scripts podcast, where we watch all the horror movies you know and love, some that you've never heard of. Thank you for joining us. And we are joined today by a couple of special guests from No Grave Films. We've got Jordan, and you prefer Jules or Julie?
Jules is cool.
Jules Sealander. So welcome and thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank you for having
yeah,
us.
thanks for having us on.
We're excited.
I know. I feel like this has been a long time coming. Like I remember sending that first email because I was mesmerized by Blood Red Blues, and then I was like, I need to have them on the podcast. And then I was like, wow, it takes a lot longer to like get this thing off the ground than I initially anticipated. And then when I followed back up, I'm like, God, I feel like such an asshole. Like I'm like, oh,
Oh,
7 months later, like, what's up,
We
guys?
under
Remember me?
we were
we
oh,
also
crazy.
understand
Yeah,
how long and all the legwork that goes into building something from the ground up. So we were like,
doing
oh,
everything
we'll
yourself.
get there. We'll
Yeah,
get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I'm glad we could finally make it, make it realize the vision. So, but yeah, like I said, I first thing I saw from you guys is like I listened to one of the panels where you guys spoke after they showed your film at Days of the Dead. This is probably what, 2 years ago now, maybe three?
Yeah, right.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, so that was it was funny. My co-host who's unable to be here today, David, had been going to Days of the Dead for a year, and he said he was like, dude, he's like, we always sit around and we talk about all these awful horror movies we watch. We should just put a microphone in the room and you should come to Days of the Dead with me. And then I was like, wait a minute, there's a film festival here too. I was like, which is always my favorite part because I'm like
Yeah,
watching what you guys and other folks are able to do with like $1,000, 2,000
Yeah,
bucks, like no
yeah,
money and
yeah.
able to put on film. And I'm like, dude, like a feature film is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah.
I almost think there's
Um,
something more like I almost find it more talenting to be able to fit a story into such a short time frame without being able to like fully flesh out and develop those characters.
for
True.
sure.
Yeah, I feel that.
I like
So
those.
It's a challenge. It's a great challenge,
You
you
get
know?
like a little flavor of each character rather than like the whole meal.
Yes.
exactly, exactly. So, before we get into the films that I wanted to talk about, which I actually watched yesterday, so I'm like, oh, they're fresh in my mind. I have questions and I have thoughts, but um, talk to me about how you guys got started on like your film journey. I understand. I saw you guys on some other podcasts, and I understand you did dancing, Jules, and so I'm just interested how you kind of came to where you're like, hey, let's start making some movies.
Well, he started out real young. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I started in eighth grade with my buddy Philip, who was in No Grave for the
Mhm.
Dead with Jules, and
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, so like it came full circle, and
he did.
yeah, we just made movies in high school with our little film group in an
Mhm.
AV class. Of course, everyone went separate ways for, post high school.
Sure.
Um, I think, I still had Philip coming back for some of my like sophomore year projects in college. Um, but
Sure.
yeah, I always say I kind of had to like it's good to know everything and be taught the way if you were on like a big budget project, in
Hmm.
college. But I kind of had to almost forget all that because I'm like kind of that Moneyball quote, like if you try and play like the Yankees out there, in here we will lose to the
Sure.
Yankees out there. You know what I mean? We got no money. Go back to what we were doing in high school, running and gunning it.
Hmm.
But then I was filming a lot of dance stuff for Jules for a while too, while
Okay.
I was shooting this other movie, Ann and Andy.
That's true.
And yeah.
Yeah, I got him involved with my dance company. So he was filming a lot of our stuff. And then
Okay.
Awesome.
we had this cool project that one of my best friends, Tiffany, choreographed. And so he got to film it with his buddy Drew.
It was kind of like a
And
darker one. Like they went the horror route. They like brought five filmmakers together to
yeah,
like collaborate with the dancer.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
like,
we
can you?
split my neck,
She like asked me half through like the night before. Can we cut Jules' throat? I'm like,
stab me.
well, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like let me go get some stuff at the grocery store tonight. We
Uh,
can make it work.
yep,
That's awesome.
But
yep.
like the point being, when we premiered this, they like promised us like you can go as hard as
Ball
you
to the
want,
wall. Yeah.
make it rated R, and then there's no kids there, and then we get there and there's like the
Like
director
20
has like these
kids
20
in
kids,
front.
and I'm like we're sitting there waiting the whole time for our movie to start, and like the parents are horrified, the audience is
The
horrified,
kids
but
are
they're
laughing
laughing
it.
at they're loving it, and I was like, I want to chase that feeling.
And they're
You're like,
looking behind to look at
And they kept
me.
coming up to
They're
Jules
like,
afterwards, like, and it was
that's
like,
awesome.
I'm still alive.
I was like, this is the reaction we need to. chase from here on.
Yeah, yeah. And so I sort of got bit by the bug too. And then when it was time for me to hang up my shoes because I couldn't, it was hurting my body too much to keep dancing.
Hmm.
Okay, are you ready to come do projects with me? And I was like,
Time,
okay.
time to make the horror films.
Yeah, it's time to branch out.
And so, were you a horror fan, Jules, before you got involved in this?
I was, but it's funny. I went away from it. So, like, my mom snuck me into the Blair Witch Project with my neighborhood childhood friend. And, like, she's like, I'll come back and pick you guys up. So she came in with us and was like, I'm going to pretend like I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm just going to leave. And I was like, cool, mom. And then she also was the one who showed me, like, The Exorcist. My neighborhood friend showed me Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I did have, like, a fond,
She
loving.
saw Maniac
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the theaters when
Yeah,
we
my mom did see Maniac in
saw
the
like
theater.
I was like, there's a side to you,
There was.
Mrs. Kostanek.
And then I went away from it a little bit, and he kind of dragged me back to it and was like, come on, like, let's go see these movies in the theater. And I'm like, well, give me a drink, you know?
Mhm. That's how my wife is. I love everything horror from like independent to big films to like my favorite thing is going to conventions and finding the tables for like Scream Team releasing and is it Severin, I think, Severin films
Ever.
and
We love you
dude,
so
and
much.
like
I almost want
buying buying their blind boxes and being like, what gem am I gonna find that I've never heard of?
yeah.
And just that's my favorite. That's what I love more than anything.
Mystery
We have
Wheel.
a stack that we've been getting through slowly.
That
We have so many.
We're in the Russ Meyer phase now.
that's awesome.
Good editing. Good
Yeah.
editing.
I mean, between those guys and then like what is it, Shout Factory and Umbrella and a bunch they have so many cool
Arrow.
like yeah, Arrow. I'm like a sucker. I'm
Never.
like, ooh, I don't have
Never-
that slip cover. I don't have that steel book. And I'm like, damn it, that's just all I need is another hobby to like collect
Right.
something.
Top of my comment.
And I'm terrible. I like when I used to drink wine, I don't drink it anymore. I would pick it by the label. I'm the same way with these films. I'll see it on the table and I'm like, this one looks cool or sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh
it's
shoot,
like,
there's looks like David might join us. Oh,
oh, good.
David.
Hey.
Hey,
What's up, buddy?
not much. I just got back from dropping my kid off, so
Okay.
Good.
fashionably late.
That's
Love
all
it.
right. I'm glad you're here. We were
We're
just
the ones
chatting.
early.
Yeah, we were
Yes.
literally just getting going, kind of talking about how their journey started in filmmaking. So we were finding out a little bit about their background, and so we got sidetracked talking about watching all the movies that people never heard of and picking up blind boxes at horror conventions of DVDs.
The
That's
best.
David's
Nice.
go-to as well.
Yep.
So yeah, so David, welcome. This is Jordan and Jules from No Grave
Wow.
Films. So yeah, so we're like I said, we're just getting started. So feel free to jump in and join the conversation. Welcome to the
I
party,
guess I
pal.
should. I should.
Welcome, welcome.
So you mentioned Scream. Scream is one of my all-time favorites. I gotta know, what's your all-time favorite horror movie? I guess I'll just ask that directly.
Well, he's got like every time we do this, it's like 5 Desert Island, then it becomes 10, then it becomes
Like I can live
15.
like
You gotta do
um,
one.
Pick.
One.
Only one.
Maybe I should frame it differently. Like, what's a movie if you're on the desert island and you only have one, you have to rewatch over and over? What has that rewatchability factor that is just a favorite?
I have mine.
all right, go see that first.
Okay, Secret Window.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I watch it all the time to go to bed. It's kind of dark, but
That's all right. I like that one.
I'm always kind of like, oh yeah, this one's pretty creepy, you know?
Love it.
Nice.
Like normally when I do this and I do the top three, I would say the Wolfman, but I can like close my eyes and like play in my head verbatim and like just imagine it.
Mm.
The one with rewatchability for me, I had to do this, and you're making me answer right here, right now, would be The Thing, I think, because
Oh,
every
hell yeah.
time I figure out child is or Brady is you know
Nothing.
the thing at the
Yeah.
end. You know, spoiler alert, sorry, too late. But
No, that's okay. I mean, well, there's a lot of debate about who
yeah,
is.
like,
I mean,
or like who is
True.
when, and like you get some clues to it, and I just think I watched it right after COVID started, which was a horrible idea. Not the first time, but again, I revisited it again.
yeah,
Um,
that movie's so good.
it got so
It's
scared.
fantastic.
Like, I'm walking around the next day at work, like in mask, like, are you the thing? Are you the thing? Like, and it took a whole new level of scariness that it never had before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went and we had the opportunity to see that. There's a theater near us that does like a Halloween every Friday in October. They play old horror movies, and they played The Thing, and I was like, I want to see that on the big screen. I'd never seen it on the big screen, and like
Yeah.
going in and like just turning our phones off and completely like immersing ourselves in like the score for that is brilliant, and just the cinematography. And I was like, I mean, David and I were like in, two kids in a candy shop for that one. It was a lot
Yeah.
of
It was amazing for sure.
So good.
I will say, let me add, Halloween is honestly
That would have
probably
been the
the
other
best.
That would have been
Like,
the other one I
you
would
know,
have said, but
yeah.
like
But
I know who the killer is in that one.
yeah,
Like
I
if I'm
think
on a desert island, I'm trying to
yeah.
keep myself entertained. I think the open-endedness,
hmm
that's a good
Right.
point. That's a really good
the
point.
thing to
That
keep
is so
rewatching. I take the question literal.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I think David's might be the same as yours, Jules. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it?
Halloween, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a,
rewatch
Rob
it.
Zombie Halloween, right?
No, the
Hey,
new
listen,
trilogy
hey,
remake one.
look, I put a post out where I was like, "Hey, just so everybody knows, the Rob Zombie Halloween, the first one, is not as bad as everybody gives it hate for. I actually don't hate the movie, but it just seems to be a sore subject. So I'm always like, you mean the Rob Zombie one? They're like, no,
Right.
1978. Like, I'm like,
I'm not
okay, all
even
right.
trying to say anything about 1978. I'm just saying
we don't hate them,
like
but
yeah,
they're not as good, you know?
Agreed,
Right.
agreed,
like I
agreed.
don't know. I think
Agreed.
once he gets into the past some of the childhood stuff, it starts
Yeah.
picking up again.
I agree. I agree. I agree. So for me, my favorite all-time horror, and if you follow us at all on social media, it's 100% The Lost Boys. I will watch that movie
That's it.
10 times. I mean, every I watch it every day. I mean, I watched it last week actually. I mean, just for no
He,
reason.
he just he talks about it all the damn time.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can see like the Lost Boys over here. I got Lost Boys and Scream. You can kind of see here.
He's
Lost Boys is
Wolfman,
amazing.
Scream.
Yeah, like Teen Wolf would have been another one. It's not a horror
Nice.
show, but
Yes.
like, and I made like everyone thinks I'm joking, but I'm like
He's not.
that literally is like my
You have a
when I'm
cup.
super low. I do whenever I'm like at my super lowest, like
Oh yeah.
like
He's a
that's
big
the movie
fan.
I
He's a
put
big
in.
fan.
I'm like this movie will make me feel not so
Better.
bad right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But
we're
it's not a
getting.
horror film, so I
I
went
feel
with
like we're completely derailing here, and I'm fine with it. I love
Sorry.
it. But when you
Yeah.
guys spoke at Days of the Dead, and I remember them asking you, Jordan, like what you wanted to make, and you're like, I want to make a Wolfman movie. Like,
yes.
have you made it yet? Is it on the docket? Like,
Pseudo.
I don't consider it a werewolf
Right,
movie.
right.
We do have a creature feature coming out.
okay,
Nice.
Well, a feature that we shot in
Mhm.
September, and we got like the epilogue scene to shoot next,
Yeah.
and it's just gonna be like a 1 day thing to like bring it all home, and then we
Yeah.
can start,
Putting it
like
together
really,
for real.
like
hell
editing.
yeah,
But like that one definitely has a creature, a dog like creature,
Dog.
dog man creature.
Dog
Hell-
man.
Yeah.
I love it.
We'll
It's like
make-
cryptid. I love it.
yeah. So it's like cryptid creature, but I haven't done my werewolf transformation like scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I feel like that's one of the most challenging scenes in like all of filmmaking is like I mean obviously everyone the has the famous scene in mind, but I feel like so many like I watched what was the one that came out recently, David, with Frank
Frank Grillo.
Grillo,
Wasn't it just called Werewolves?
Werewolves, I think.
I think.
Like I feel like everybody it's like so much like CGI, and I'm just like, man, whatever happened to like the old school like dog soldiers, dude? Oh my God.
Yeah, dog
The
soldiers, American
practicals.
werewolf, like
American Werewolf, yep.
Yeah. It's so hit or miss though. Like so many like even if they use practical effects, it still doesn't look good. Like have you guys
True.
seen that movie Slice?
No.
It's a
Uh,
fairly I think it's only like 2 years old. And
Uh-huh.
it's got a werewolf and it doesn't show the transformation until almost the end. And it looks terrible. Like it is he's not a good looking werewolf in the movie.
I understand why it's let's just do a vampire with the fangs, instead. Like
Yeah.
It's easy enough,
it's
yeah.
like a daunting task,
It
But I
is.
think you go into it and like that's the big scene. If
Yeah.
there's anything that we just have to spend like a long time
Mhm.
just making sure we get it, it's that part.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see cost too with that, all that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Easily,
but
yeah.
like if you can get that, like the werewolf fans will love you forever. I think.
That's what
they're
I'm saying.
We've been
We
waiting.
gotta do it right.
American Werewolf,
Gotta do
right?
it right.
We've been
Yeah.
waiting like 1981 or
That's
whenever that
true.
movie came out.
Yeah.
So, like I like some of the transformations in other ones, but
Yeah.
so we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
But
Someday.
like we got a couple werewolf movie
Ideas.
And
Right
we-
on.
Like we sometimes, if we're just tackling scripts with like monsters in general, there's always
Yeah.
a Wolfman character in there. But
Fun. So let's talk about your movies a little bit. Let's start with what I guess what you think you said was your fan favorite, No Grave for the Dead.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel.
so I had not seen that one. I went into this not seeing that one or Scarlet Shoes. I just saw the
Same.
Blood Red Blues, but I watched it and I don't think it's my favorite of the three. But
Yeah, okay,
but
cool.
I did like a lot of the stylistic choices. I like the idea of making it almost like a silent film. You know,
Yeah.
just you had this
Yeah,
like
no
the
dialogue.
action,
Yeah,
yeah, and I like that, and I like the whole thing. I was like, oh, it's starting off with like a very familiar trope, like don't pick up hitchhikers, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it went the whole movie, almost the whole movie, like till the very end, where you're like, who that you're toying in your head, who's the villain
Bad
here?
guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
Kind
loved
of
about it too.
unintentional. Like,
Yeah.
like wait,
and I was like, and also I was just like, man, these two are super cozy for just being like, hey, hop on in, like
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah,
partied up at this motel. And I was like, man, like I like the parent in me is like, oh no, oh
Yeah.
no.
Like it's bad.
So many bad choices, but
right.
the horror fan in me was like, all right, this is how all those good horror movies start. And I thought it was really, really well done. I really enjoyed it. And
Mhm.
I don't want to give too many spoilers out, but I'm gonna go ahead and spoil part of the ending because
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
loved the
Yeah.
last scene with you being a dancer, and I was like, this is perfect. I was like, I had never seen a movie with like what I'm assuming is the ghost of the
Mhm.
victim almost
Yep.
like dancing next to her body.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I was like,
I
Yeah.
I've
know.
never seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, never.
Like literally, that was just the music video idea there, and like it would have started with a person dropping him off, and like the band could have been playing or whatever, and she could have been dancing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the band rejected the idea, and so we were like, well, we're gonna rent this like camera during
Might as well.
COVID, like let's see what we were testing the camera out to see if we liked it, and it's like, well, I guess we could make it a little longer, and then it's like, can we do this for 20 minutes though? Like we didn't even know until we were editing it, like, oh shit. And then like 2 minutes got added to our runtime with Jules's like stare and like I'm like, oh god,
Yeah.
it's so long. But what was being fun about it was creating that initial part, and like we always feel it in some of the screenings when it gets to like that midpoint. People are like, this is not a horror movie, but like right before it like fades out and does the
Everything
time
goes
jump, and
down.
she
Yeah.
wakes
Hmm.
like, and then they're like, oh, here we go.
Mhm.
Like, so I really do
Right.
think we their patience just long enough without
Hopefully boring.
yeah, boring.
No, 100%. And speaking of the stare, like you play, like if I can say so, you play a great dead body.
I know it's a very awkward talent. Like literally, I think at work we were going around saying our talents, and I was like, "This is really weird," but I play dead really well. They're like, "Yeah, that's not a talent you want to go around bragging about."
Right.
They're the horror con.
Yeah, yeah,
It was fun though. I was like, wow, this is like really like when he's like carrying you like wrapped in the sheet, and I was like, wow, this looks really good. Like job well done.
Yeah.
Like the makeup looked good, like everything. I was like, this is like I really enjoyed it. I really did. And I find myself like having a little bit of ADHD. So like short films, I'm like, all right, I can dial in here for
yes,
23 minutes.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
real.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like got it.
yeah. We're like, I
Exactly.
don't know. So that was kind of like her star making appearance, if you will, like her film.
It's just
But
fun.
like that scene, like I think one of the festival directors was like, yeah, he like stopped it, rewound it, like stopped it again. You know what I mean? And was just saying how much they thought it was
They
great.
appreciated it.
And
Yeah.
so I don't know. We got a lot of compliments for that one, oddly enough. And then it was like, I guess,
Then we wanted to show people we could do
we can
something
add
with dialogue.
but we also because we knew we might be screening at some similar festivals. We were like, it'd be funny if like they think it's another silent film for like
Yeah, push it
6, 7
again.
minutes, and then suddenly you hear some dialogue.
Yeah.
Didn't you win an award for that one at Days of the
I
Dead?
did, yeah. I got Best Actress, which was
That's
really
awesome.
cool. I was
Yeah.
like, I was honored.
It was an awesome night.
That's awesome. So I have some questions about just like, so I know we're talking about No Grave for the Dead, but like, what are some of the challenges you face when like making a movie like this? Especially, when you're working on either with your own money or very little funding. If you decide to go like, and I know you haven't gone the Indiegogo route that I've seen yet, but like that's another option. But if you're using your own money, you have to be extremely thoughtful about the choices and where you spend that money, whether it be on sound, because I'm a firm believer that you can put kind of dog shit on film. If the sound is okay, it's bearable. If it's even if it's good, if the sound is terrible, I have a really hard time
I
focusing. All I
know.
can focus on is the really terrible sound. So I will
Oh
say
yeah.
that. But how do you choose like where to spend that money? And like, are you cashing in your chits with your family and friends? Like, hey, can we use this location? Can we, you want to volunteer some time? Like, I'll throw in beer and pizza kind of thing.
Yeah. So for the talent, outside talent that we ask, usually we pay them, and it's
Yeah,
just like
from
again
our
when
own.
we're shooting, like
Mm.
we're no more Uber Eats, no more like we're eating noodles again. Like, like you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
discipline. Uh,
Sacrifice.
yeah,
Tight budget.
We are
I do eat
lucky.
at work, but
We are lucky in that our crew are we're very good friends. We've been friends for probably 16 years now.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
So yeah, our sound guy and our cinematographer is the same dude, Dan.
Okay.
Um, and then Corey, he sometimes is our videographer, like, and then post production manager slash
we can usually
producer.
find one of our friends to like do on-set sound,
Yeah,
but like even that, like eventually we're gonna just
have
like
to hire
if we do
someone.
like a feature where it's not our other one found footage, because if you end up picking projects that you're like
What
we
can we
don't have
do?
money yet for a sound guy and be able to pay him like 4 grand to stay up with us for a week, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
found footage movie, no one should care too much, as long as it's not inaudible, like that might be part of the charm. So if you do make a longer movie like that, you can get away with certain stuff. But yeah, so for the first one, it wasn't even like we have sound equipment. There was always one of us who could have done sound on set. We had
Hmm.
4 of us.
I've held the
Uh,
boom.
like yeah, the Florida Blues was different. There was one night that we had to trade off with like whoever
Mhm.
was the spare hand
Yeah,
because our sound guy had to leave a little early. I think early.
yeah.
Like, not
Yeah.
really, but we went over. I think.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Yeah, it's just I've talked to quite a few indie filmmakers and they're like, dude, they're like, I'm calling my buddy who owns a restaurant. We can film there after hours. Like,
yeah,
why?
like literally, it
Mhm.
just doesn't hurt to ask. Like,
Yes.
just ask everywhere. Like, if you're out at,
Yeah.
hey, would you let us shoot here? Like,
We also use there's like a cool website called pierce.com,
Okay.
and we have been able to get a bunch of like storefronts for like, like they'll say like $60 an hour. So okay, cool, book it for 5 hours. That's not gonna like break
break
the
the budget.
bank. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Right.
like we were utilizing that a lot. We did end up for this last feature that we're still working on using his family farm, just
Oh,
stuff like that.
Because it took place in a forest, and at that point, you just want like as many locations as
Yeah.
possible. And like, what ended up selling us on that is it was so close to our base camp. It was like a 2 minute drive, and then we're in the forest again.
mm-hmm.
Verbo we rented.
Verbo,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was like, I've never had a location that was
Yeah.
that close.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
pretty good.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is cool to see what you guys were able to accomplish with like what I mean? Like you see like the like full features and they're like I forget the biggest one I can talk about is I know Terrifier 3 is like Terrifier series is massive now, but like it was cool to see a horror film that was like, hey, we had no advertising budget, zero. We spent $0 on advertising. And at the time, oh, what was it? Oh, it was The Joker 2. They're like their advertising budget was like $12 million just in advertising. And the horror film beat out The Joker. Like it's cool to see horror kind of transform, come from like what was a very low budget independent film, the first one, and seeing them grow and kind of being able to at least like I feel like get their flowers, like this is what
Yeah.
it can be. And I was like, it's nice to see that. And so I mean, I am always impressed by what y'all are able to accomplish. So kudos to that for what it's worth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, that's one of the first production
I know.
design compliments we
Yeah,
got.
no.
We try.
Because like when you were getting carried, that was like a whole like
Yeah,
yeah, we didn't even use the farm or anything for that. Like
that's true.
it was just we rented a place
That
in
had it.
Indiana,
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, I don't know anyone in Illinois that'll let us shoot
Nope. Yeah.
by like
Let us shoot while I'm naked. Like,
yeah, like,
That
well,
can that can that can prove challenging.
yeah.
yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like,
have
well,
to.
we'll just rent a place out and drive like 3.5 hours, and
Hmm.
it'll
I
start
mean,
a
Go
while.
for it.
The road trips are fun.
Oh, of course.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so if I had to like, I was like watching the three films, I was like, No Grave for the Dead. I would probably honestly put it three,
Okay.
like only because the next movie was the first one I saw from you guys, which was Blood Red Blues,
Mhm.
Cool.
and that one I thought was I don't know, like I think David and I caught like I think we missed like the first 5 minutes. So like the first 5 minutes watching it this time, I was like, huh, here's what I missed, like, a
Yeah.
while back. But like I really enjoyed, first of all, I love vampire movies, obviously. And I really enjoyed like I felt like there was a undertone to that movie that I don't know if everybody caught or if it was just me. Like I had a lot of like dealing with grief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
We
Okay.
didn't
I
know
was
what
like, I
we were
didn't know if that
thinking.
was intentional.
it
No,
was.
like kinda, like
Kinda.
because
Yeah.
you step back at the end and you're like, oh, this was about two people grieving differently,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
in a whole weird rom-com kind of way,
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
I liked
Weird.
it.
like very dry sense of humor rom-com way,
Yes.
like
Yeah, well, it
Yes.
was like you got two like vampire roommates who have the same challenges and like disagreements as like everyone does with their
Mhm.
roommates, and like fighting over like the scene where they're in the shop and they're fighting over like she keeps like hypnotizing one of them, and then she's like, no, no, like I'm
Yeah.
like they're like arguing back and forth. I was like, okay, it's like a very nice like comedic like relief to it, and then I almost felt like it was kind of like, how do I explain it? Like 70s psychedelic,
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, we
Mhm.
love.
like erotic, horror
Yes.
kind of thing to it,
I
which I really appreciated.
That's
we
cool.
really appreciate that you
Yeah.
appreciated that.
It kind of reminded me of like Suspiria, like with
Yeah.
the bright, the vivid colors, the flashing. Like it was. I thought that's what I got from it, and I was like, oh, I dig it because I like that style and that like
we
era.
Yes.
we'd rather do that, and like a lot of people don't get it
Yeah.
because when we go to these cons, like a lot of them are horror comedies, of course. Like a lot of them are, which is great.
Slashers.
But
Like
then there's a lot of slashers and like we kind of went in there, and I think some of the audience sometimes didn't know what to think because they were
or
like,
they didn't like it because
or
they're like, what the hell?
what was that?
Kind
Like
of trippy.
yeah, like kind of caught them off guard, I guess.
Yeah, because it's so different.
Right.
Yeah, but like we like the '70s movies,
Yeah,
and like
we did.
it's awesome. Yeah, so I'm happy
Yeah.
you.
Yes, I'm happy I liked it. I'm
I'm
like,
glad. Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, even if you don't get it, I'm like, it still is like pretty to look at. It looks
yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, for
It's like
sure.
aesthetically pleasing. So I'm like, even if it goes over your head, which it's fine. I mean, I've always said like you can be a horror lover and still not maybe get some of the underlying themes or tropes to a movie, and you can still enjoy it. But
agree.
I was curious when I was watching it. I was like, I'm gonna ask them because I feel like that's what they were going for. So I'm glad to see that like I recognize a few things here and there. I might miss a lot, but
Oh, you picked up on
Yeah,
it pretty
yeah.
good.
We ever can
I
get
was like,
the
bravo.
we ever can get the feature version of it done.
Yeah.
Like, we could really lean into it. I think.
Yeah, that would be
Oh,
so
for sure.
nice. Yeah. So, when that one, I was curious when you guys were like the challenges of like filming during COVID. Like, obviously, like whenever I first saw you guys was shortly after COVID, and everything was kind of like getting back to normal. Like, what were the challenges? Like, did you take a hiatus? You were like, it's just too hard to book people, to book places. Like,
You almost were at the beginning. That's why No
Yeah.
Grave for the Dead was so okay. What can we do with two people in a motel room in
Yep.
like the woods somewhere?
Yep.
mhm.
And it was well, we had this old music video idea we could do. All right, let's make it a short. And that one was just like the four of us, and
Yeah.
I think we did
We had a COVID. Yeah, we had a test for
like
COVID, and
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
make sure we were all negative.
But like then when we were going in to get like food when we went to Indiana, like put the mask back on, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
we were like the only ones there with the mask on.
Right.
But we were like, we're filming a movie though, so
Yeah.
um, so that was challenging. And like if we tried asking so many people, and I think they just weren't ready
Yeah.
to go on a set. Even like, hey, there's five of us or four of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, it started loosening up for the
For Blood,
blues
for
movie,
Blues,
yeah,
yeah.
for Different Blues, but
It was easy.
it was a little easier, but we still had some people who were
A little panicked
yeah.
about it.
It was a weird
Of course,
weird
yeah.
time. It was a very strange time. I remember like just it was just kind of like, I mean, yeah, half the world believes it was true, half the world believes it's
Yeah.
not, and then you're like, hey, let's get 20 of us into like a small confined space for a 2 week shoot, and people are
Yeah.
like, well, maybe we shouldn't.
There was more people too, I think. That was in
Yeah.
the back of my head. I remember for Blues, like I hope none of us get sick this week.
Yeah, because we had a bigger
Like
cast.
I remember definitely being more
Yeah.
careful. I was working at the airport at the time. Like
Yeah.
I can't get sick like the day before this. We're flying again. Like
Yeah.
he played there.
Dude, it was fun. It's funny you mentioned that because here in Georgia, just last week, we had the highest pollen count that we've ever had in the history of the state. And I'm talking like you shake a tree and it looks like it's like a just a cloud. It was awful. And I
Yeah.
woke up one morning and I never have allergies. Like my wife, she'll be dying from allergies. It never bothers me. I woke up and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I can't smell anything. I can't taste anything. I was like, do I have COVID? I was like, is that still a thing? So like I
Right?
legit like I went to the store and bought a COVID test because we were getting ready to like take my daughter to a bunch of like activities and stuff. And I was like, I don't want to like take her if I'm sick. And long story short, I was not positive, but I was like, man, I forgot what it was like to like be afraid of that was going on kind of thing. And I was just like, is that still
Mhm.
like do they still sell COVID tests?
Right?
They do.
You have to
They
look for
do.
it. You have to
But
look
I
for
was just it was kind of funny. But um question about one of your actresses, the one that played Indigo,
Yep.
Mickey.
and she was all what's her name?
Mickey.
Mickey. And she was also in Scarlet
Like Mickey.
Shoes.
Mickey Park.
Yeah.
Is she a friend of yours that you work with often? Okay.
Yeah.
So we did a music video with her, with Andy, who did
yeah.
Ann and Andy with me, and I found, and we did a music video, and like as everything was ending, and we were walking back to the car, she turned to us, she's like, by the way, if you're ever doing a horror movie, hit me up. And I was like, you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Right?
it's gonna be in the middle of the night, you won't want to be there, covered in blood. Like, but she's been a trooper. Like,
yeah, and
ever
then
since.
she goes, "No, I'm serious." And I go, "No, I'm serious. If you tell him that, he will hit you up and expect you to be like, let's do it, you know?"
Well, you said
And
anytime.
Yeah.
that's
I
a
mean,
little
she seems
weird.
like a natural
She
Yeah,
is.
she really,
She's so talented.
doing it. So
Yeah.
we pretty much hope that,
We always get to
yeah,
work with her at
keep
some
working with
point,
her. Even if it's like, hey, I can only do it for a day, I'll be like, that's fine.
Yes.
We'll have fun. Like, but yeah, at this point, she's like a buddy. It's
Yeah.
not the same set. She's not there.
Yeah, at least one.
She's so energetic. Like she keeps energy up, So
Yeah.
Was she a dancer also?
Yes.
Okay. I was like,
yeah.
yeah. So that kind of
Yeah.
kind of shifting gears into your latest short, which actually ended up being my favorite.
mine too. Yeah.
Wow.
I thought
Oh,
I really
so
liked it.
interesting.
I love like cursed objects, and so I was like,
Same.
this totally like fits in my wheelhouse as like a cursed
Yeah,
object.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like I love movies which just has some sort of object that is killing people or doing some like causing people to kill people.
Like Rubber. Did you ever see that one,
like
David?
Rubber, that kind of stuff.
Have you
Shit
seen
is
that
awesome.
one? Either of you?
No,
not that
I have
one.
not.
Check out Rubber. It's a movie about a killer tire. I'm
Yeah,
not, I'm
oh,
not
no,
making
I
that up.
I've heard of it. I've
He's
seen
heard of
stills. I've seen stills.
But
that was the name.
I was really like that one. I really enjoy. I like the idea of like just the character finding the shoes, and then just like she played it perfectly, like almost when she was kind of like possessed, almost like marionette, like the way that she
Yeah.
moved. And then when I was watching when we were watching it was this dance scenes, and I was like, okay, I was like, Jules looks like she's danced before. I was like, but I wasn't sure if she came from a dance background also, because I was like, okay, those scenes, I was like, I feel like they move better than most people do. Like, the natural movement. I was like, yeah, that looks like they've done that before.
Yeah, that was actually funny because obviously we always like to try to incorporate some dance into our films. And then when we were asking Casey if she would do like a little like grand finale entrance,
Yeah, she's gonna like just be a person walking by at the end, and people would be like, "Wait, was that Allie from Terrified?" And like, we were like, just one day for like 5 minutes. Can you do that for us?
Right. And she goes, actually, can you extend the role? And I was like, okay.
Wait, what do you mean? She's like, I want to dance. Like,
she's like, I want to dance. I'm like,
I haven't danced on
absolutely.
film yet.
That's amazing.
So we turned it into this whole little like.
We had to go back and
dance
rewrite it and add Casey's character. So I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. Maybe Mickey and Casey.
Yep.
Like she keeps being nice to her, but Mickey she's through it kind of.
Right.
And like, I'm on to you, So
yeah,
added a cool element to the story.
And I have a question. With when you meet for coffee in that one, what coffee shop was that? Was that in Chicago?
Yes, the Brood.
Yes.
I knew it. I went to Chicago for Metallica show in October last year, and I was like, hey, my buddy is not a horror fan. I was like, we've got to go to this coffee shop. It's supposed to be like this horror themed coffee shop. And he was like, whatever. And that's where we went. And I was like, this looks super familiar.
Yes. The owner, Jason, he's really cool. He supports horror. In fact, he told us he used to actually make films himself.
Yeah. Oh,
so
cool.
when we asked him, he was like, absolutely. He was really cool about it. And we were like, thank God.
Yeah, pretty cool to shoot there. It's just kind of like a local legend, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah.
Mhm.
David, that was the one where I sent you the pictures and it's like has like the sandworm coming in through like the ceiling.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And they have like all kinds of like he has a bunch of like movies for sale, like some pretty crazy ones and like lots of cool memorabilia. So that was a really that was cool. I was like I thought that might be it and I was like, I don't know, there's probably a lot of cool coffee shops
crazy
in
now.
Chicago area.
You
No,
should come
it's
back
it.
because the horror house shop is
Yes.
immediately across from it now. So
Yes.
you can get your coffee, buy a movie there, and then walk across the street and buy more horror memorabilia.
Yep.
Nice. That's awesome. And then
Don't tempt us
directly
with a good time.
exactly. And then next door there was a record store last time I was
Record
there.
shop there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found he had some good soundtracks. I think I ended up buying a couple of like horror soundtracks last time I was there.
Sure. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Everything's awesome,
Small
people.
world.
Mhm.
But so kind of so for the Scarlet shoes, I liked how it was kind of like this tense buildup where to the end, and let me tell you, I didn't see the end coming. Like what happened, the bathtub scene, like when you're like, I can't get these shoes off. I was like, awesome. Kind of reminds me of those movies like was it Clown where he can't get the
Clown,
mask
yeah.
off and
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, okay. I was like, I love it. And then you were like, let me try again. And then like she was just like went into like that trance, and I was like, this is gonna be bad. And then like kudos to the freaking effects because you looked
Yeah,
yeah you got messed
Thank
up. It looked
you.
gnarly.
I give that props to Mickey. She
Mickey
did all
Jules.
my crazy, like, bloody features with
wow.
one. So she's very
Good.
talented at some special effects makeup. I
Like
gotta say.
between like Jules and her,
Yeah,
like
we
they
were
almost,
kind of both doing it, but obviously at a certain point I couldn't because I couldn't
she was
see out
like
of one
had
eye. Yeah,
not.
my one eye
Yeah.
Willie.
It was great, and it was like I liked like the camera choices, like whenever she was kicking you, and it was almost like kind of like shaky cam, but like
Going with it.
the way you worked it was really nice because it was like, hey, we're not going to be like right up in there, but we're going to give you enough. And then the scene at the end where you're kind of like just mangled, I was like, wow, that was intense. I was like, that was
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah,
And then like nothing happens. She's just kind of like a puppet, like a doll, just kind of walking through the streets. And then the scene at the end where she does the contortionist thing,
Oh god.
that
Yeah.
That
reminded
was
me
hard to
of,
watch.
dude,
yeah,
that reminded me of like Stranger Things with the chick on the like where she's like her bones are snapping and twisting, and I was like, this was like, and
The
it didn't
feature
look
film
it
version. We'll get there.
it looks like I mean she's flexible, like she like really like bent herself in these weird I was yeah, it creeped me
she's
out.
Yeah.
basically a contortionist
Like,
also,
yeah,
and
like,
a dancer.
Oh, okay. That made me cringe.
I'm glad that was the point.
like
Like,
let me tell you, Jules came to me and like we were getting spooked off the vampire movie, I think, for
yeah,
some reason or another. But she's like, I got this dance one I want to do,
mhm,
and like she wrote this outline out, like scribbled on,
yeah.
hey, and I looked at it, I'm like, wait, what? And then you get kicked in the face at the end?
Well, I came up with the idea before the vampires, and I wanted to shoot it before vampires, but the timing was perfect for the vampires, so we were
Yeah.
like, all right, let's do that. But yeah, I gave him this like scribbled piece of paper with nonsense, like what the order of the story and what happens, and he had to turn it into a
Yes.
script somehow. And then we both kind of tackled the script,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, so like after that, then she comes in and like kind of fixes everything that girls would say, and we
yeah.
add scenes, new ideas and stuff, and
And
kind
then he goes, okay, wait, so you get your face stomped in a bathtub? And I was like, yeah. And he's like,
Yes.
that's kind of dark. How are we gonna do that? And I'm like, we can do it. It's gonna be fine.
because like it was such like a, and when she pitched it to me, she was just like, and then this is happening, and this is happening, and then she just stomps my face in, and then gets possessed and walks
And he
away.
was
And
like,
so yeah, I don't know if people are gonna think that's the punchline coming, but okay, maybe that's like, let's do it, I guess.
I mean, from a
It
complete
looked great.
outsider, like watching it, like it worked because it was like I said, it was just kind of like steady where you're like interested, like I'm intrigued, tell me more, kind of like very like Black Swan, like something's going on, and then it literally hits you in the face, and you're just kind of like, oh, so we're here now, okay. And then like, and I like how that the end it wasn't like she didn't escape, she kind of succumbed to the shoes, and they ended up back in the window, and then of course the last one standing, I guess we'll say, of the troop kind of walks by, and she's like, hey, which also she saw the shoes you were wearing earlier in the movie, or that she was wearing earlier in the movie, and she's like, oh, I want a pair like that, hopefully I can find them, and she sees
Yep.
the exact same ones, and she's like, huh, what a coincidence.
yeah.
So I think it was actually Casey's
It
idea.
was Casey's idea.
So every time they're always like, you got to have the feature version of your short. I'm like, no, these are just shorts that we're doing for fun. Like,
Sure.
if we think a sequel, but if we did readapt that one, like we would reshoot the beginning that way,
Yes.
and then the movie would actually follow her character, and she's embraced by the shoes and embraces the shoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when
Nice.
Casey, I think that's how maybe I don't want to put words in her mouth
Yeah.
as a performer, but maybe that's how Casey approached it. Like
Right.
maybe they are the same shoes, and
Hmm.
we even heard from the other two they keep skipping classes.
But they
You
tag
know what?
together and they
Yeah,
cause chaos.
yeah, like that's where the movie would have gone.
Yeah.
It's the
If it was
parasitic
featured.
shoes, like
And I
Yeah.
like the shop owner. Was she was in another film, wasn't she? I thought I recognized
That's
her.
my mom.
we do use friends and family.
We do.
So she was an actress though back in
Was
the
a
day.
theater kid.
Yeah.
And so, I came to her and I go, so mom, you want like a speaking role this time? A like creepy, like Twilight Zone kind of character? And she's like, yeah, that'd be great. I have so many ideas. And I was like, great. Okay, here's the script.
He
I
was
like that.
hilarious.
Yeah, I loved.
Hypnotized in Blood Red Blues though.
That's right. That's it.
I
Yeah.
I thought that was her.
Yep.
I just like how she was just like, let me tell you about these shoes. And then she was like, oh, I gotta take this call. And then she's like, you know what, bitch, just forget it. Like,
Yeah, here you go.
like I was trying to warn you.
You were being like, oh no, the mocha sounds good. Like,
Yeah.
It was we were like, all right, we're gonna go down this trope, but then we're like, how can we get away from the trope? Here, perfect,
like you play into it, but like, you know.
It was a ton of
Yeah.
fun. I really enjoyed it. And like, so yeah, that if I had to rank them, that was my favorite. And I liked Blood Red Blues so much because of like I love the everything about it, from like the putting the name and the year like vintage on a wine bottle, like with the blood,
Yeah.
like was perfect. And they were like, oh, you're right. Like was it Vivian, or I forget her name? She's like, she was like, yeah, Violet. Yeah.
Violet.
It's like, oh, you're right, she was sweeter. He's like, yeah, I think it needed more iron. Like, I loved like everything about that. I was like, okay, that's gonna be my favorite. And so I went into it expecting that, and I was pleasantly surprised. So,
That's cool.
Yeah. Very, very
and
nice.
and David and I watched,
Yeah.
and David and I watched separately. So he was not influenced, and he picked the same one. So I was like, all right, that must mean
Yeah.
something.
That's so funny.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, I like hearing it because, like, you never know. Because some people tell us to this day, like, it'll always be no grave for the dead, and then some people are like, we feel like you guys spent more time with the vampire,
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, we have gotten positive, like some of the people, who are part of the gay, lesbian,
Community, yeah.
LGBT community who come
Mhm.
up to us at the festivals afterward and really appreciate
Blood Red.
Blood Red a lot.
Yeah.
And I
Oh
think
yeah, I can see
like
that.
we
Yeah.
didn't really lean into it too much. We kind of made it more subtle, I think.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't, want to necessarily tackle it, from being, the position of being like a man, trying to incorporate a bunch of those themes into it.
Right.
But so you try and just kind of be respectful with it. And
Yeah.
they came up and a lot of them have complimented on us. And I think that's like better than any award or any
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
recognition or anything. Is like, hey, I watched this with my girlfriend and like,
But I am really thrilled that you guys love Scarlet Shoes because, like, we're just in the festival cycle now.
yeah,
And, like,
Oh,
I'm like,
Nice.
it's like obviously everyone was like very surprised by it, but I'm like, I don't know if we reached the audience the way we thought we would. You know what I mean? So it's cool
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get that perspective,
yeah, it's the first time someone said that
was
was their
like-
favorite.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, if you think I'm the same way, like anything that you create, I feel like you're your own worst critic. You're harder on yourself, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I didn't like that. This didn't hit the way I wanted it to. And so, like, sometimes it's being able to kind of step back and separate yourself and be like, all right, like everyone sees it differently. It's so subjective, and it might, like for Blood Red Blues, people, maybe going through something like grief might see that differently. It might resonate with them more because of what they're going through at the time. So,
Right.
it's always going to be different, but I really enjoyed it. I'm excited that you guys are entering it in some festivals. Are you going to do Days of the Dead in Atlanta again in 26?
we did
Yeah.
in January
Yeah.
already. So, yeah, I'm probably.
I mean, we already did it for this past
Yeah,
run,
so-
so to do like, I mean, it's one of those things where now we're just trying to find different festivals to enter it into. We've
Gotcha.
done like
Right.
4 other ones, so we're like hopeful.
Yeah.
that, you know,
A lot of them, like one of them will be in July if it gets in, and then
yeah,
the rest are all
in
for the
October,
Halloween.
yeah.
Yeah. So what's the process? Do you have to do you pay to like enter your film into those?
Yeah, sometimes it gets like, sometimes you just think you're paying for the festival to get run, and like giving a donation.
Yeah.
When we're getting higher and higher too, it feels like.
Yeah, they
Because
Yeah.
some of them, like we're in the early bird deadline. I'm like, dude, that used to be like the prices of like the late deadline.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
some,
jeez.
so you get more selective too.
Hmm.
It ultimately comes down to, can we either drive there? Like if we can drive there, why not
Yeah.
submit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it cost effective? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like a lot of stuff on the West Coast, we have to be more choosy
Yeah.
because it's like, well, that'll either be a flight or we just can't go
Yeah.
probably at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just pay as I go. Like we
Yeah.
don't do the fundraising or anything like that. So it's
Right.
like, okay, I have a little bit more money. Like I could spend $65 on a submission fee.
Yeah.
But the problem is you just never know what's
Yeah, you're like, am I throwing out $65 or is this gonna like
you
be
just never know where
included?
it's gonna lead.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
Yeah.
we do have some contacts now with some theaters and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like we could screen it now. So sometimes you're looking at the festival, but you get to meet cool people like yourself. So it's like you got
Yeah.
to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, us being Atlanta based, we've done Days of the Dead, and like this year, Dave and I looked at each other and we're like, listen, like we've done this one a bunch now. Like it's like we still we meet cool people and we see some of the same people, so it's great. But then I'm like, I've been trying to but it is getting expensive even for like I've tried applying for like press passes and stuff. I haven't been successful yet, but we'll get there. But like just paying yourself as like a person to go see and meet celebrities and watch the films and stuff, it gets expensive. And
Yes.
so I mean, I luckily I get to go to Texas Frightmare weekend down in Dallas next month.
Oh,
Um, but the only way I did was because I met someone through the horror community who's like, "Hey, I live in Dallas. Come stay with me."
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
woo! I was like,
That's the way to do it.
using miles for the plane ticket because yeah, that's
Yep.
not one you can drive. I mean, I guess I could drive to Texas, but I don't want to.
No.
we drive to Atlanta, and
It's hard.
it's
It's
because we have
real
all our
hard.
totes and stuff.
He's a
Yeah.
machine though.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But like, I kind of like the drive though. It's
you
a nice little
do. You
drive.
do. I do not.
It's a good
Road trip. I like
people-
road tripping.
What was that?
What
I like road tripping. Road tripping is fun. When you like,
the flying, so
yeah. I found myself like at the point now where like when I was younger, it was like, okay, like 7 hours, I was good. Now I'm finding like 4 hours, I'm ready to get out of the car. Like 4 or 5, I'm like, I push
That's a lot.
through. Like I
It's
drive, I have,
crazy.
yeah,
He said 12 hours just straight to Atlanta. Obviously, we stopped, but
like a
like,
machine.
yeah. And I'm like, can
'cause
I
nobody's
help
late.
you? And he's like, no. And I'm
we're
like,
not gonna be there till 8:30. Our movie's screening at 9.
Just white knuckling it, just monsters.
With a Mountain Dew or whatever. So it's,
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, we're at the point where we're gonna start wrapping up here. I want to thank you both for coming on and chatting about your films and sharing some laughs with us. I want to give you a few minutes to kind of plug your socials and tell folks where they can find you and where they can. I don't know if your films are out there where people can watch them specifically, like on YouTube or anything, but
we're gonna film a little puppet talking and make these 3 films into an anthology and throw it on whatever streaming service.
Oh, nice.
nice.
yeah.
So that's the
Very
next.
cool.
coming.
It's coming.
Okay,
Know what
cool.
order you think it should
Awesome.
go?
I know.
We've been asking people that.
I know.
3.
What order?
We think people go second,
Right.
just to like kind of have that note
Yeah.
popping interlude.
Yeah. But you can find us at No Grave Films on Instagram and Facebook. Julie Sealander, Jordan Sealander on Facebook. And we have our personal Instagram accounts linked to our No Grave Films on Instagram. So
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Well, once again,
Cool.
thank you guys so much for joining. I love talking to you
Yes,
guys. If
thank
you
you.
ever find yourself in Atlanta again, definitely drop us a line. If you end up back at Days of the Dead, we'd love to catch up and say hello. And
So
keep,
Chicago.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what you guys have to come in the future, and
Mhm.
keep us abreast of all the stuff that you're doing, and we love to promote
Good
you
point.
and drop the line on our socials to check you guys out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, we'll drop a line on our socials, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
You guys
Absolutely.
are great. It was
Yeah.
fun to work
Thank
with
you.
you.
Thank you
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I'll send you an email with like all the links where you can cut up the video, you can share the audio, whatever you want to do with it. Just feel free to use
Yep.
it as you will.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right. Y'all have a good weekend. It's good to talk to you guys.
All right, back.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Later.